At the beginning of the movie, we see a lot of fighters arriving at the military base. Together with the others, Luke listens to the briefing, which may be useful for him during his service in Iraq. After that, the guy and his co-workers start outdoor training. At the same time, Cassie Salazar sits in a small bar, trying to compose new music on the piano. Nora reminds the heroine that they are opening soon. In the evening, the girl and her colleagues perform on stage, performing a rousing song. The heroine introduces herself as a member of the young pop group Loyal. The owner of the bar, Billy, as promised, allows only 2 songs to be played, after which he turns off the equipment. Standing behind the bar, the heroine notices a lot of Marines entering the establishment. Suddenly, one of them calls out to Cassie. The heroine suddenly realizes that her old friend Frankie is in front of her. The guy introduces Cassie to co-workers, who immediately start flirting with her. Luke approaches the heroine and tries, apologizing, to establish contact with her. However, Cassie quickly realizes what his plan is. Nora tells her that one of the guys offered her to marry him, as it is possible to get good money for it. The heroine receives a notification on her phone and asks her friend to back her up. Cassie goes to the car, where she checks her insulin levels and gives herself a shot. The heroine realizes that there is very little medicine left. The next day at the pharmacy, Cassie learns that her prescription cannot be renewed because her insurance has run out, and now the insulin must be purchased with her own money. Her mother, standing in line, lends the heroine money, but it is also in short supply. Cassie ironically says she will try to live until Friday. That same morning while jogging, Luke is followed by a car. Its driver Jono, who sells forbidden things, reminds that the guy owes him $15,000. Cassie talks to her mom and refuses to go back to her apartment. The heroine says she has many part-time jobs, performs at a bar, and teaches the landlord's daughter piano to cover her medication debts. When the woman cries, Cassie asks her to calm down and tells her that she will definitely get through everything. During the evening performance, the heroine becomes very ill. Cassie runs to the bathroom and injects insulin, realizing that it is not enough. The next day, the heroine visits Frankie and proposes marriage to him since Marine wives get good insurance. Luke, who overhears the conversation, tries to dissuade Cassie, as his father worked in the military police and often uncovered such scams. The heroine is angry when she is accused of trying to steal from the government and reveals that her immigrant mother paid huge taxes for 10 years just to get citizenship. Frank refuses, saying he can't marry Cassie since he's gotten back together with his girlfriend Riley. Luke watches sympathetically as the heroine leaves. Afterward, the guy goes to see his brother Jacob. Luke finds out that his brother can't lend him the money, like he said he could before. The guy brings Jono a couple of hundred and tells that he has come up with a plan to pay off the entire debt. A couple of days later, Luke proposes to the heroine to meet at a coffee shop. The guy decides to make a fake marriage with her to get the money to pay the debt. Luke tells her that, for backup, it will be necessary to write romantic letters to each other, play lovers in front of the army company, and spend the night in a motel near the military base. When Luke returns from Iraq, they will immediately divorce. A few days later, the guy goes to pick up Cassie to consummate the marriage. Luke suggests that she wear something more dressy and accidentally sees the heroine's tattoo on her back. Cassie tells him that it says, "He who doesn't risk, doesn't win." This phrase was said by her mother's grandmother before migrating to America. Seeing Cassie in a white dress, the guy is struck by her beauty. Before the ceremony, Frankie gives the heroine a ring, which he is going to then give to Riley, and asks her to keep it that way until he returns from Iraq. During the send-off, one of Luke's co-workers makes a rather racist toast, which angers Cassie. The guy settles the conflict, after which he goes outside. The liberal heroine continues to argue with her husband, and there, believing that it is stupid to solve all conflicts with weapons. Noticing that they are being looked at, Luke hugs Cassie, pretending that they have made up. In the evening, the newlyweds head to their room. Luke confesses that he is very scared. Because of this, he is behaving strangely. Cassie supports the guy, after which they really kiss and spend the night together. The next day, the heroine takes Luke to the base and says goodbye to him. Cassie sees many women crying as they see their loved ones off to Iraq. Luke kisses the heroine and gives her his brother's phone number in case something happens to him. The guy reminds her that they will be watched closely from now on. Back home, Cassie proceeds to write her first letter. It turns out that the heroine early began to engage in music, since it was with its help that she learned to express her feelings. Now that her health and other problems have been resolved, Cassie hopes to be able to write even more sincerely. Responding to the letter, Luke also writes about himself. The guy is a third-generation Marine. His father even received the Purple Heart Award. After school, Luke walked a lot. But coming to the Army, he hoped that he would earn his father's respect. However, now the guy realizes that he himself wants to serve his country. The heroes gradually establish communication, becoming more open with each other. During the video call, Cassie communicates a little stiffly, especially when she confesses her love. However, her communication with Luke inspires her to write a new song. During the next call, the heroine learns that the guys have had a very hard day and sings them her song about love, fear, and waiting for the beloved who is far away from her. Luke genuinely admires his wife's creativity. Cassie's new song helps her get into an incredible festival. After learning about it, Luke jokingly says that he has become a muse for the heroine. While Cassie is performing at the fest, the guy, along with Frankie and the rest of the guys, goes out on patrol. The heroine fails to call Luke several times and begins to worry about him. The song she was inspired by her boyfriend brings incredible success and popularity to Cassie's band. After another performance in a bar, the heroine receives a strange phone call. Cassie learns that her husband has been injured and will soon be rerouted to a San Diego hospital. Back home, the crying heroine can't find a sheet with the number of Jacob, Luke's brother, and decides to find him through Google. The next day, Cassie arrives at the specified house, but meets Jacob Sr. The man is amazed to learn that Luke went into the Army and got married. The next day, the whole family visits the guy in the hospital. Cassie tries to play the role of the loving wife well, and Luke's father says his son might get a Purple Heart. Cassie is left alone with her husband, who says it's even more dangerous to get divorced now. Jacob Sr. will turn his son in if he feels their marriage was made for money. Luke is convinced that they need to live together for at least a couple more months. In addition, the guy reveals that Frankie was mortally wounded during the mission. The next day, Cassie attends the funeral together with her husband. The heroine stays alone with Riley and gives her the ring with which Frankie was going to propose to the girl. Because of the injury, Luke has to move for some time in a wheelchair and learn to walk. The guy temporarily stays to live with Cassie, which causes a strong quarrel. In addition, Luke's father will pick him up every day to drive him to treatments. Before his first visit, Cassie cleans the apartment, making it more like a family home. Life together inspires the heroine to another new song. Cassie, along with Luke's brother, gives him a dog to speed up his rehabilitation. The guy is angry, as he feels he is being equated with the disabled. The next day, Cassie comes home and is surprised to see an empty wheelchair. Luke tells her that he is practicing walking with a cane despite the discomfort. Cassie treats the guy to a taco and sets up a jalapeno eating contest. After building rapport, the heroine helps Luke take a bath and sleeps in the same bed with him. The next day, Cassie, together with her boyfriend, goes to a family dinner to his family. In the evening, the heroine performs at a concert and pleases new fans. Waking up in the night, Luke receives a call from Cassie's mother. Arriving at her house, the guy learns that the inside has been broken into. Luke gets a call from Jono, who demands repayment of a debt. Returning home, the guy gets very nervous when he sees that the heroine seems to be out of sorts. It turns out that Cassie forgot to eat, from which her condition deteriorated greatly. Luke helps the heroine by giving her glucose, after which he hugs her. In the morning, the guy leaves the house unnoticed, trying not to wake Cassie. Luke catches up with Jono in the parking lot and attacks him. The guy takes the gun away from the dealer and gives him the rest of his debt. Luke demands that Jono not go near the heroine and her mom anymore. After that, the guy visits Frankie's grave and admits that he misses him very much. Returning home, Luke is surprised to see a suitcase on the doorstep. Cassie reveals that her mother has been threatened again by the strange guy. Luke admits that when he lost his mom, he started using different medications. The boy stole an expensive car from his father, but wrecked it. Even though he was going to put it up for sale, Jacob said he'd turn his son into the police if he didn't cover the costs. That's when Luke borrowed the very $15,000 from Jono. The guy tries to make peace with Cassie and explains that the debt has already been paid. However, the heroine is not ready to risk her mother, so she leaves Luke and demands that he not be there when she returns after the concert. Guy parts with his cane and goes out for his first run after the injury while Cassie performs in front of a full house. After returning from a run, Luke faces his superiors and drives to the base. After the concert, Cassie talks to the boyfriend's father and learns that a trial is coming up. Jacob says upset that he believed in their feelings and hoped that the heroine would return his son to him. During the trial the next day, Luke completely takes the blame for the committed crime on himself. Soon the guy prepares to serve time and learns that he received the Purple Heart. Before the big concert, Cassie revisits the video from her wedding. The heroine sings a new song in which she finally admits her strong feelings for Luke. Immediately after the performance, Cassie packs up and runs out to her waiting car. The heroine meets Luke in front of the base and confesses her love for him, promising to wait for him. 6 months later, Cassie reunites with her boyfriend and celebrates on the beach. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.